She started with just one property and now manages over 120 properties, including luxury farm stays, wedding venues, and boutique inns. But here's what's different. She didn't scale with stress or cut corners or become another property manager who's just fighting for scraps. She built a purpose-driven brand, one that's operationally tight, emotionally resonant, and wildly profitable. So today I'm going to be breaking down how she did it and what you can take out of it to build your own short-term rental business the smart way. Section 1, built on purpose, not just profit. Jamie didn't set out to be the biggest. She set out to be the most intentional. Before the 120 properties, the wedding venues, the staff payrolls, she had one goal in mind, which is to create experiences that truly, genuinely mattered. This mindset changes everything. She wasn't chasing the next hot market. She wasn't just picking properties because they would cash flow. Instead, she was curating a portfolio that aligned with her values. And in return, she attracted property owners, team members, and also guests who shared the same energy. So you can either build a business to maximize profit, or you can build a business that maximizes profit and also maximize meaning. And ironically, the second often leads to more profit and also more peace. When you build with intention, you attract owners who trust your vision, not just your pricing model. You also lead a mission-driven team who cares about the outcomes, not just doing tasks. And most importantly, you stay energized, you stay clear, and you are centered. Because you, yes you, I'm talking to you, the owners, you are the biggest asset. So as long as you are burned out or you are in a state of chaos, your business will reflect that. You will take actions that will lead to your operations being in a state of chaos, your team being in a state of stress all the time. But when you feel clear-headed, you feel energized. Not only will you take actions that will resemble that energy, but also the people around you, they can sense your care. They can sense your positive energy that you put into your work, which in return will translate to your business. Your business being the definition of freedom, of connection, and of positive energy. The reason why owners want to work with Jamie is because simply owners don't just want someone who can run numbers. Everyone can do that with the right training, with the right experience. So what they want deeply is they want someone who can protect their asset, elevate their property, and also represent them with integrity. Ultimately, someone they can trust. These owners choose Jamie because she cared, not just about the design, but also about the guest journey and about doing things right. That intention then becomes a differentiator. People can feel when something is made with care versus something made out of desperation. And in an industry flooded with automated, profit-hungry operators, care simply stands out. I just want to say that I'm not disregarding anyone who started this business with intention, because most of you were probably starting from a dream, from the intention of doing hospitality right. You care about the guest experience, you care about the owners. But as you scale, as the operations pile up, and as growth accelerates, you might start to forget why you even started. That is when the stress creeps in. That is when you lose the spark. That is where the doubt, fear, worry, stress all piles up and contains your day-to-day life. And that is also when you run your business on autopilot, chasing down the profits and drowning in tasks. Not because you want to do so, but you are forced to think that way, to view things that way. You can't keep scaling with chaos and then expect to find peace. The cause and effect doesn't really align there. There's no synchronicity. So if you want the peace, the stability, you have to scale with clarity. And that is exactly what Jamie did right. She didn't build faster than she could lead. She made decisions aligned with her mission, not her bank account. She created systems so that her energy could be protected and not depleted. And in the rest of this video, I'm going to be breaking down what Jamie did right, what she avoided, and also most importantly, what she did gracefully in order to stay grounded and how you can copy that. So keep watching, because if you want to grow like her without the burnout, without the chaos, and with the most successful outcome, it all starts here. If you run your business only to make profit, your life could be great for a second, and then you burn out. You say yes to every deal, you overextend, you compromise quality for quantity, and then ultimately you lose the spark that made it fun in the first place. If you follow Jamie's approach, which is prioritizing purpose before portfolio, it gave her a filter to say no to bad fits, a story that connected with owners and also guests alike, and finally a foundation that scaled with her, not against her. And that is why her brand, which is Be Still Getaways, isn't just a cute name. It is a resemblance of a belief, a message, and it is a compass that guides every decision. So action tip here, it all starts with the mindset. You want to shift your mindset from outcome-driven to purpose or progress-driven. And so I have an actionable tip here, and in each section I will give you some kind of exercise or actionable tip so that I'm not just spilling you all the sauce. I'm also helping you to bridge that gap between where you are right now to where you want to be. Firstly, take 5 to 10 minutes today and answer these 3 prompts. They will help you clarify your purpose and start building a brand that resonates beyond just pricing and photos. So first question, why did you get into this business in the first place? If you want to reach a certain goal, you need to work backwards. And so if you don't even know what goal that you want to achieve, how can you create the steps to get there? Now with this question, we are starting with the end goal, defining what it is that you actually want, and so we can create those steps along the way to help you get to where you want to be. Do you want the money? Do you want to give people the experiences, to build a lifestyle for you, to create impact? Whatever it is, take a few minutes to clearly define where you want to be. Now, because we also want to work with clarity, not just vague idea, we want to anchor this even further by defining what kind of guests or owners do you want to attract in the long term. Again, we are trying to bridge the gap slowly here. And so by defining in more detail, in more clarity, who it is that you want to attract, you can better understand the action steps that you need to get there. Do you want to attract families, remote workers, eco-conscious travelers, or even a combination of those things? Do you want to attract families that are also eco-conscious? Whatever it is, take a few minutes to define it. Lastly, the purpose of you creating this exercise is to understand your end goal, but also separates you from the other copy and paste property managers. If you had to describe your business in one sentence that doesn't include the word Airbnb, what will it be? Because you understand your purpose, you understand the kind of owners that you want to attract. Now you just need to create a medium or messaging, storytelling that doesn't include Airbnb in it. Because if you are attached to Airbnb, then you are working towards someone else's purpose. It is not your purpose. Airbnb is not your platform. You want to create your own brand and your own purpose. Okay, so now let's move on to part 2, section 2. And I swear the rest of the sections will not be as long as the first section, because I really want you to understand the importance of the first step. Because if you don't get the first step right, then these next sections wouldn't even make sense to you, or wouldn't even have the impact that you wanted because you get the first step wrong. Okay, so section 2, she didn't just scale, but she specialized. So a lot of people, growth to them means that they need to be adding more of the same things. They need to work harder or just put in more effort in order for them to see the growth. More listings, more apartments, more cities, more of what everyone else is doing. That is a keyword right there. But Jamie, she broke the mold. She didn't just stack more units, but she went deep into the niche. She expanded into luxury farms, wedding venues, and also boutique inns that aligns with her brand vision. She positioned herself where competition is lower and margins are higher. These niche properties attract emotionally invested guests. They justify premium pricing, and also it allows her to build a distinctive brand, not just another Airbnb portfolio. While everyone is fighting for $200 per night, she was capturing $800 per night per properties, and on top of that, events that have built-in demands. But here's the thing, you don't have to follow this strategy word by word. You don't have to shift into a brand new underserved niche in order to win. Let's say you have a property management company in Byron Bay. It is a beach house central. That is your market and it is saturated. But saturation isn't the enemy. Competition isn't always a bad thing. In this case, you don't need to change your market. You just need to own your position in that market. Because to some people, competition means that it is harder for them to stand out. But if you do it right, if you are able to position yourself on top of your competitors, then you are going to take a chunk of that demand for yourself only, because everybody else look forward to working with you instead of these other property managers. So if you do this right, you win big. In a crowded space like Byron Bay, where everybody manages a beach home, your competitive edge won't be the home itself. It will be your story, your message, and your values. So this is what niching down in identity looks like. Firstly, you create a clear POV on what kind of guests you attract, which we did in the first exercise. And then from there on, you create a visual brand that stands out. And finally, a personal branding that shows why you care, not just what you do. Because again, everybody else tells you what they do, but nobody really shows why they care. Even though they do care deep inside, they don't show it. And that is the first mistake here. We are living in a trust recession, and if you don't show that you care, people won't know. You don't want to assume that they know that you care. You want to tell them directly that you care. We're not playing a guessing game here. We want to build something that is proven, that is predictable. So with Jamie, she didn't just say we manage luxury wedding properties, but she says we create intentional stays for people who wants to slow down, reconnect, and feel something. This message hits differently, and it also attracts a different kind of owner, one who sees their property as a space for transformation, not just turnover. So even if you are in a popular destination with a saturated property type, you can still win by being more specific. Being more specific in your brand story, your guest promise, owner alignment, point of view, visual identity, and content. And the takeaway here, what is important is not just what you manage. It is how you show up, what you stand for, and who you speak to. Let's move on to the exercise. Again, we're going to be answering some questions here. We want to make sure that your positioning is clearly defined, and we don't want to create any confusion or misalignment here. Firstly, ask yourself, which of your current listing get the most 5-star guest feedback or emotional reviews? These are often your brand strength in disguise. You could be researching more on what is the hottest trend in the market right now. But again, if you have built a solid foundation and you have a clear data for your own business, why don't you use that instead? That is way more powerful than you stepping into a new market. You have to build the data again. You have to build the trust again. and it's just more hassle trying to do the trial and error phase where you're just guessing through your way. Where in one reality, you can just easily look at your property listings, what is working really well with that, which one is working really well, and then you double down on that. Now, if, for example, you cannot really define which one of your properties are performing the best, either none of them perform really well or everything perform really well. And then you move on to second question, which is what type of stays or experiences are underserved in my market. This is where you do an external research. In your market, are there any unique property types that no one is optimizing? Not only property types, but amenities, furnitures, or experiences that these people crave, like pet-friendly stays, luxury countryside getaways. Just do a little bit of research to make sure that you are not wasting any potential. Finally, can you reposition one of your current properties or a new one to dominate that category? For example, if you have generic listings that is not really targeted towards a specific branding, specific message, specific positioning, you want to figure out if you can rebrand or reposition that properties under a unique collection. Because it is better for you to establish your brand as not just a generic property manager, but maybe, for example, you accommodate group-friendly homes, you specialize in that. Then these owners who have a group-friendly home, they will eventually come to you because you specialize in that. They trust you more because you have that kind of authority. You have experiences in taking care of those kind of properties. And we humans, we like familiar things. If you're familiar with that, then we trust you that you can do the same for ours. Now, the third section is the real cost of scaling without strategy or systems. People don't just grow 120 properties by winging it. At some point, they must do something about it in order to protect their peace and keep their sanity. It's not that you don't have any tools. It's that you don't know when to use them, what to automate, and also who to delegate to. And that is what's silently slowing your growth. So what happens if you don't have a certain system or framework for when to hire, when to delegate, and when to automate? Firstly, you stay stuck doing it all yourself until something breaks. And then you hire too late, suffer from burnout, which then wastes time and money. Finally, you buy tools, but don't build a system around them, so they gather dust. And then you ended up paying for tools that you cannot even leverage. Jamie started hiring before the profit was even there. Why? Because she understood something that most property managers don't. Hiring isn't a luxury, it is a scaling lever. Same like delegation isn't a reward, it is a prerequisite for growth. She built her business with the intention of scaling, so she built it like a leader from day one, not a technician reacting to problems. So here's what's really missing. Firstly, a way to diagnose which tasks are draining your time. Secondly, a way to classify the task. So what should be automated? Who should you delegate to? What should you eliminate if it's not moving the needle? Finally, a clear trigger point. For example, if you're spending more than 5 hours per week on this and it doesn't really produce that much leverage, then you need a system to kind of automate or delegate those tasks. If quality drops when I get busy, it is time to delegate. So you need to also know the when. Instead of scrambling inside your own business, firstly, you build a tool around it that could automate the things that you are still manually doing, and also hire a tight team who can free up her time to do a more leveraged task. Not just focusing on the day-to-day grind, but focusing on growing the business, giving her time to actually strategize and scale the business. Think of it this way. If you had to step away from the business for 7 days, what would break first? And the thing that would break first will be the part of your business that needs the system next. It is the thing that you should prioritize making a system for. Now let's move on to the action tip. Firstly, you start with just one area of your operations that feels a bit messy or reactive. Maybe it's cleaning, guest messaging, owner reporting. And then you ask, what's repeating, what's manual, what causes the most frustration or delay? After you have figured out what causes the problem, you create the solution by picking a tool or automate or delegate for that specific problem. You don't need to try to fix everything at once. Fix one process this week and then you build from there. You choose one area of your operations that feels a bit messy, you fix that thing, you reiterate, you build a solution around that, and once that solution is proven to work, then you move on to the second or the next problem. So I've covered about this before briefly, and now I'm gonna break down further on why you should build a brand beyond Airbnb. With Jamie here, she didn't just rely on listings to drive her business, but she created a brand that people remembered, trusted, and also sought out directly. What she did differently, firstly, she launched a direct booking website. As you can see, not just a direct booking website, but also a website that stated your service, the about section, your team, your mission, contact, and things like that. So not just portfolio, but a brand with destination, with her story, her values, and also her promise of excellence. Secondly, she created a social media presence with Instagram, search engine optimization, local partnerships. And the goal here is not just for people to see her properties, but for people to see her personality and the promise behind them. Thirdly, her properties reflect local charm, thoughtfully designed, and personalized experiences. Creating a good website, social media presence, all of that is important, but ultimately, if your service isn't good, if the experiences that you create doesn't really align with what you say in your messaging, then people won't trust you. So if you want to create a website or social media presence that defines your values, then you need to also make your values tangible through your service. Finally, she didn't really do this, but I really encourage her and you, the viewers, to also include an email list of past guests and potential leads. You follow up, you nurture, and you stay on top of their mind. Again, if you want to showcase that you care about the guests and the owners, you don't only showcase it through your branding, through your experiences, but also directly to them before they even work with you. That creates the notion that you are the embodiment of what you say you are. While everyone else was just another listing on the Airbnb, she became the brand that people talked about. These owners, they want trust. But trust isn't built through bullet points on your website. It is built through stories, visuals, and also values. And that is what branding does. So as you can see here, this is her Instagram and this is her YouTube channel. She has a YouTube channel. And this is really important for creating not only the perception of what you do, but also to build that initial trust. Because we as humans, we don't just connect for our benefits, but we also connect through telling stories, through sharing the same experiences. And this is basically what she did. She created a behind-the-scene video where the viewers can really connect with her on a deeper level. These properties, they might seem really good on the outside, but in reality, there's a lot of other property managers who maybe has a better, more luxurious property, who maybe has a better rating, better traffic, but those photos won't really convert the viewers into actually paying customers. And by providing video like this, you create honesty, which then creates vulnerability that establish connection within you and the leads or the viewers or the owners. So let's move on to action tip. What you can do. Firstly, start small. Because if you're looking to change things too much or make a really big change from the start, you're not going to know which one works and which one don't. So for example, you can start by launching a simple direct booking page with a strong headline, intro video, and also form. You can use templates. And the reason why you want to change this first is because this has proven to catch attention, to work. Owners, when they look at your website, they look at your headline. They see if you have a video, because nobody really ever put videos on their website, which is a bit concerning. And then finally, booking form. If they're interested, you need to capture their interest immediately. Secondly, you start showing the behind the scenes. No matter how small it is, just start to share your personality slowly. Because again, in this saturated market, the only way you can differentiate yourself is by being you. There's no other you in this world. And so by you sharing a little bit more about your behind the scenes, nobody could really replicate that because it is ultimately your life. You can use short form videos on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, or your site's homepage to introduce yourself, the business values, and also build connection from them. Finally, capture emails. In this world of trust recession, nobody really work with you or want to partner up with you on their first visit of your website, unless they are a referral or they've known you before. So just like building a real life relationship, if you like someone and you want to take them on a date, you want to know them slowly first, not asking them to be your partner immediately, but you want to build that relationship first. And that is pretty much the same with your ideal owners, your ideal clients. You want to build relationship first with them, and one of the ways that you can do this is by capturing their emails. Once you have captured their emails, then you can start sending them messages telling more about you, what you do, why you care, and how you can transform or improve their life, and so on. Capturing emails are not easy, especially when people don't really trust you yet. So you want to offer a lead magnet, which is just like a free deliverable that will caught their attention and ultimately lead them to giving you their email address. If you give someone freely, then the other person kind of have this feeling of obligation to give also something to you because you provide them with value, they also want to give it back. And that is what we're doing with emails. Finally, let's talk about something that doesn't show up on the spreadsheets, but drives real scale and growth, which is team culture and leadership. In the early days, Jamie paid her staff before herself, and that tells you everything you need to know. She didn't just build a task-driven team, but she built a mission-driven culture, and that ultimately shows in how her team shows up for guests, owners, or even each other. She led with trust and care and got loyalty in return. Everybody knew the why and not just the what. Everybody knew why she started this, not just what service she provides. And finally, I don't know if she actually has like an escalation path or clear SOPs, but I'm just going to include it here because this is equally important. You want to create a guidebook with your internal values that made it easy for you or your team to own the outcomes. Here's the truth. You can't scale past 5 to 10 properties without the people you trust. Because tech helps, but people are the one that scales the business. Businesses are made of people. It is made by a collection of expertise, skills, and also action combined together to create this beautiful thing that can help transform other people's life. And also what a lot of people got mistaken is that the truth is you don't need a big team to build culture or even grow. You just need a clear mission, aligned expectation, and a bit of trust. If you still make excuses that you cannot scale to 100 properties because you don't have this team, that team, whatever it is, then you need to do a little bit of self-reflection. Because the truth is there are people who get there by just building a solid team with quality, not just quantity. Now let's move on to the action tip. Firstly, you define your mission and team values. A real mission will help you attract the right property owners, build team alignment and loyalty, create meaningful differentiation, and also make decisions faster because your why guides action. So start here. You can use these 5 prompts to define your short-term rental property management business mission. Firstly, why did you start this business in the first place? Again, if you have done the first exercise, then this question will be a bit easier because then you have to find what it is that you want in the end goal. Now you just want to clearly define why you start this in the first place. That makes you want to reach that end goal. Secondly, what kind of experiences do you want your clients and the guests to have? Do you want to sell freedom or connection? Whatever it is, you want to clearly define it because you want to, again, show this to the owners. Tell this to the guests directly. You don't want to play a guessing game. You want predictability. Thirdly, what do you believe is broken in this industry? This is really powerful because ultimately business comes down to you solving problems. And if you have found a problem or something that is broken in this industry that not a lot of people are diving deeper or focusing on this specific solution for this problem, then you want to slowly start incorporating those solutions into your service in order for you to fix this broken piece. For example, maybe you believe that property managers underserve mid-range properties. Then you want to focus on improving that part instead. Because ultimately, it is easier for you to fix the things that you truly believe needs to be fixed instead of you doing things out of, again, just the money, just the profit, and doesn't really have a meaning or purpose behind it. Fourth, what impact do you want your company to have beyond profit? Again, this helps you to think beyond the profit, what it is actually that you want, the impact that you want to give to this world. Because if you want to play the long-term game, profit isn't enough. Fifth, what would you be proud of to say at a team meeting 5 years from now? After we have figured out everything about what we should do, now we can start dreaming about the future. And again, this positions you in the end goal, which then you can create mini steps that will lead you to that goal. But instead of you just defining your own goal for your specific purpose, you think in the perspective of what others will say about you or what do you want to be known for. Because let's be honest, humans, they like validation. And we perform well if we have accountability partner and also just someone who can cheer up on us, validate on what we have been working on. So by you defining this, it will make it easier for you to get to where you want to be. After you have defined your mission, then you want to build the mission statement formula. Once you have answered all of these questions, you kind of have the idea, hopefully, that what it is that you want to achieve, who you want to help, and how you can do that, and why you want to do so. We help who you want to achieve. We help owners with houses in the Byron Bay, for example, achieve outcome. What outcome do you want them to have in the end through how you do it? Because we believe why this is what makes you stand out. A couple of examples here with Be Still Getaways. I just made this up. I don't think that they have this kind of exact structure, but I just want to show you how this could work in real life. With this, we help property owners turn their spaces into unforgettable guest experiences through intentional hospitality and premium systems, because we believe the best stays change life. This is really impactful and has a really deep meaning behind it. When you read this, you're like, whoa, changes life? But I feel like they could really nail this down because they have the testimonials, they have the credibility, they have scaled up to 120 properties. And if a couple of owners can really state that their life has changed with Be Still Getaways, then again, Jamie embodying that message, and so she can freely use this message because she believed that she could do it. Now for your business, for example, you focus on luxury urban, so you say we help busy urban property owners earn stress-free income through fully managed premium stays, because we believe real estate should work for you, not the other way around. Again, this is really niche down, so if for example you say this message and people who really classify themselves as busy urban property owners and they want the stress-free income, they're gonna go to you instead. They're not gonna look at another property manager or see which one they think would give them the best outcome. Because you laid this out clearly, they know that this is meant for them. So there's no more choosing, picking, they pick you immediately. Now we have done the mission part. Now we want to post it and share it. So once you have clearly defined what it is, your business mission and also your mission, you want to put it on your internal team Notion. So you want to document it somewhere, essentially. And then you want to share it also during onboarding or even during your interview process, because you want to attract people who wants to work under the same value that you have. Not just another task doer. Everybody else can do tasks, but not a lot of people came to the same idea of value that you have. You can also use it to guide every SOP and also team specific documents. This way, again, you're anchoring the mission behind why you do it, and you incentivize others to also remember this message and embody it, to show it in their action. Finally, you create peace and also team documentations. You can create, for example, roles, outcomes, and also escalation path. And for each team member, you want to clearly define what they're responsible for, what success look like for them, and then when they should escalate versus when they should solve independently. And this all should relate to your mission. When you do this, what is the outcome? Firstly, it creates alignment and also autonomy, because your team knows what matters most and can make decisions without you being involved. The goal of you building a business is not for you to work longer hours than your 9 to 5. You want to build something that doesn't require you working on it every single day. Secondly, you build ownership culture, not just task. Robot, Finally, it becomes the foundation of your scalable operating system, one that reflects your value and also keeps your performance high. So that is pretty much the key ideas that you can take from Jamie's business. Now you might be wondering, but I'm not managing 100 listings. How does this help me? I'm not in a position where I'm managing 120 properties. Why should I even care? The good news, if you have listened thus far, you probably understand that you don't need to have a huge property to apply Jamie's playbook. I have given you the exact actionable tip that you can do right now. And so the best advice that I can give you is just to start now. Start applying those tips for your own business and see the changes. Even though it's slow, at least you are working towards something that you truly believe in. So let me summarize this, what you can copy. Firstly, pick a niche and double down on it. Visit luxury retreats, pet-friendly family homes, urban corporate rentals, or if you just want to double down on what you are doing right now, just focus on differentiation then. Secondly, show your face and also your values. Write an about page that actually shares your story. Make your brand feel like a human, not just another service provider. Thirdly, you build trust with content and also transparency. So you're not just pitching your service, bringing everyone to work with you immediately, but you want to slowly build the relationship and educate your potential owners. You can use lead magnets for this, emails, show your systems, and also create social proof. Fourth, you automate, systemize, and document. We have a whole framework for you to do this. Ultimately, it comes down to you building a simple structure that ensures consistency even when you're not there. And then finally, before you even start all of this, you need to lead with purpose. Create internal team rituals. Make your VA or cleaner feel like they mattered. When people feel aligned with your mission, they take ownership. This applies to not only the people around you, but also yourself. So whether you are managing 3 or 30 more properties, you can build this too. Hopefully you learned something from this video. Hopefully I sparked some kind of ideas for you and incentivize you to take action right now, no matter how small it is. And I've provided all of the breakdown for this in a blog where you can access it in the link description below. So check that out if you want. It's free. You can directly access it. If you want to accelerate this process and you want someone to implement all of this for you so that you have a proven path to grow and scale with meaning, then we are more than welcome to help you with scaling your business. You can check the link below where you can book a call with me. And from then on, we talk about your business. Where are you at right now? What you need help with, and also what is your end goal? And so basically, me and my team will be the bridge for that gap between where you are at to where you want to be. Because not only do we have the systems to make this work, but we also have the conviction. We know the importance of you building a business, not just for the sake of the profit, but also for the sake of your sanity, to transform your life, transform the life of people around you. And we do strongly believe that that is how you should approach your business. So we will help you to get to where you want to be effortlessly, because this is all done for you and you just receive the outcome from them. So yeah, again, check the link below. Other than that, I have nothing else to say other than I am grateful for you to finish this video. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and I'll see you soon.